Ladies and gentlemen, this will be as impartial and unbiased and fair and neutral as possibly anyone could even possibly imagine. By the way, did you make further copies of the new Steele dossier? Yes. It's Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Yes. If you thought the Moscow hotel room was bad, you just wait, Chuck Grassley. You stole my girl in 1925. Well, payback is a you-know-what. Oh, yes. Oh, this will be fair and impartial. Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing better in the known universe than watching Patrick Leahy preside. Over the Senate impeachment trial because John Roberts said, nah. And you know John Roberts probably was like, gosh, what can I do to be there? And he couldn't because the whole thing is a racket. Trump is protected, all Americans. So President Trump was a great president. Abraham Accords, peace between North and South Korea, the first president to step foot in North Korea to begin détente. President Moon Jae-in stated that Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. We can go on and on. These accomplishments, his legacy will live on in terms of foreign policy achievements, especially USMCA, renegotiated NAFTA. I mean, there are a lot of great things that President Trump did. They just want to go after him. And it's like such a racket because we know, look, this is the Biden administration. He has these executive orders now that the left is yawning and falling asleep over. They want Medicare for all. Well, I guess the true leftists want Medicare for all. The Democrats don't. They want Green New Deal legislation. You have AOC and Bernie Sanders there for a resolution, which is a public relations stunt. Resolution isn't going to save the planet. We only have 11 years left, according to the UN, right? So they don't believe in their hyperbole and propaganda. They don't believe in all the extreme rhetoric. They know that the world isn't going to end in 11 years. So they just say, well, here's a resolution. Here's a resolution. Not legislation. The left wants Green New Deal legislation. Biden would never accept that. They don't want Medicare for all. They would never go for universal basic income. So what do they have? What do they have?
They have Patrick Leahy. What's up? What's up with it? I'm back.
What is he going to do? He's going to preside over an impeachment trial where President Trump, where they can't, the mayor of D.C. and the attorney general of D.C. haven't gone after President Trump. Why? Because they can't level charges at Trump. They can't. They can't. Because he's protected under the First Amendment, and he didn't tell people to do anything. He even used the word peaceful. So hit subscribe to this channel right now. Tell your friends about this channel. We're back on track. We're on our way to 200,000 subs and beyond, and it's because of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a positive vantage point, like a glass is half full mentality, a positive vantage point to look at the next 4 years. 2022, Republicans take back the House, or President Trump starts a third party. It's fantastic. There's so many great things on the horizon. And for the people, I know that I've lost a couple of subs because there are a lot of people who are just negative. Oh, I know everything's lost. All is lost. No, you can't do that. Those people will be back on this channel. You have to stay positive. The future is bright, but you have to make it bright.
And it starts with Patrick Leahy. The man, the myth, the legend.
Look, 58% of Americans think news organizations are more interested in ideology than fact. This is a Daily Mail article, and it was from a research report cited by Axios, Edelman's 2021 Trust Barometer. The Trust Barometer.
It looks like the Trust Barometer is going in a negative direction.
Patrick Leahy is presiding. So could you imagine if McConnell presided over an impeachment of Bill Clinton? Could you imagine the uproar, the indignation? Could you imagine that? They don't, and here's the problem. Here's why almost 60% of Americans think mainstream media is simply pushing an ideological narrative, which they are. And that's obvious. And they have the same percentage of people distrust or dislike the Democratic Party. Almost the same percentage. So Democrats have gained nothing in the past couple of months. They might, if you think that they gained everything, they don't have a mandate in terms of legislation. People, hit subscribe to this channel because I come from the left. I understand the mentality on the left. You might not understand that mentality. If you're a lifelong conservative, I was a lifelong Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I voted for President Trump because I want to bring home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That's the biggest dilemma we face as a country, the biggest moral dilemma we face. We need to end these perpetual counterinsurgency quagmires and wars. And President Trump did a great deal to reverse U.S. foreign policy, a failed foreign policy that was pushed by the Lincoln Project people. All those Lincoln Project people that sold the interventions during the Bush administration. If President Trump is guilty or culpable of what took place in Washington, are the hundreds of thousands of lives either lost or altered or ruined forever? Should those millions of people blame the Lincoln Project? What culpability do Lincoln Project neoconservative political operatives, what responsibility do they hold upon their shoulders when it comes to never-ending wars? So they're the ones who pushed to get us into these quagmires. Do the people in other countries who suffered inadvertently because of our foreign policy, because of the chaos and the mayhem and the vacuums of political power that caused civil strife and unrest? And I mean, look at the lives lost in Libya and throughout that region of the world. Does President Obama is he directly responsible for each of the lives lost? Because according to Democrats, Trump is directly, every single life lost during the pandemic is his fault, even though most of the lives lost, unfortunately, are in Democratic-run states. Many of these states are run virtually, almost exclusively by Democrats. New York and New Jersey are amazing states with the most wonderful, beautiful, just awesome people. And unfortunately, they're the epicenter of this pandemic in the entire country. Look at the New York Times statistics. I'm not making anything up. This is a fact. They have the highest per capita rates, the greatest amount of lives lost. They're up there. Well, New York has the greatest amount of lives lost. And you can't simply say, well, there's a lot of people. Florida and Texas have more people. And they have better numbers. And they're red states. And so this shouldn't be a red state, blue state thing, but it shouldn't also be blaming Trump for everything. Then, what took place in Washington, that is not President Trump's fault. That has nothing to do with Trump. The only thing there should never have been protests, and I condemn what took place, and that was horrendous. The loss of life is the main thing. But it was an unmitigated disaster, an absolute catastrophe politically. I mean, that's the catastrophe and disaster is the loss of life. But it gave Democrats, what happened there gave Democrats exactly what they needed or what they wanted to suppress and silence and marginalize 74 million supporters of President Trump and try to erase him from history. The funny thing is, well, there's nothing funny, but the interesting and bizarre and almost amusing thing is that the more they go after President Trump, and this is actually quite amusing, the more they go after President Trump, the less power and influence they derive now. Trump is no longer president. You have Biden there. So they're not focusing on anything Biden's doing because he's the executive orders the left doesn't care about. So they don't have a mandate in terms of legislation. Their mandate is only orange man, really horrible, bad, get him out, and so now we can breathe easy. And there's even a Politico article. I mean, you see the hypocrisy and the duplicity and the disingenuous nature of many of these people. They say, oh, well, now we can... so there's a Politico article saying, not the Politico article. Politico is great. Like, it's actually the most unbiased, one of the most unbiased, although it's still very, very liberal and very much in the tank oftentimes for the Democratic Party. But it's still probably the best publication out there, one of the best in terms of politics. And they published an article today, how the Make America Great Trump loyalists want to turn the White House press corps into a battlefield. And it's like, did you already forget 4 years of the most hysterical, fanatical, apoplectic news conferences with journalists, quote unquote, journalists trying to outdo one another in performance art? Every single day they tried to disparage Trump in a new way. I mean, it was like a dysfunctional high school class trying to pick. See, the thing is, they have always painted Trump as the bully. He was not the bully. The past 4 years, he responded perhaps more so than he should in certain times. But they tried to bully him. The thing is, he fought back, and then they said, oh my God, look at this bully. And then they kept poking and prodding. They had this like orange bear in a cage, and they kept poking and prodding the bear. And then the bear roared back and got upset. And they said, look, he's so mean and horrible. And they kept poking and prodding him. And that's the thing. Now you have this farce and this hilarious, charade.
I'm just going to tell you one thing, and one thing only, Chuck Grassley. Remember what you did to me? Well, now it's time for the big payback, like James Brown. The big payback.
And you have Roberts now presiding over this hilarious just farce, and it's the racket. I mean, this is why nobody trusts media, because instead of saying, okay, why there's no pushback, by the way, with the Republicans. Now they're actually pushing back because they're like, oh my God, we're going to lose, we're going to get primaried in 2022. Which, by the way, you can impeach Trump. Like, I am voting to always against the Lincoln Project. If the Lincoln Project is in the Democratic Party, these people went after Vietnam veterans. These people got us into never-ending quagmires. These people had neoconservative, were militant hawks, and they also ran on a marriage amendment, and they did every despicable thing that was done. They pushed every despicable thing that was done, or they were associated in some way with every nasty, cutthroat, diabolical political scheme from the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld years. And now they're firmly embedded within the Democratic Party because, like I said, Democrats, many of them, are hypocrites. I know there's the mentality of some people that think that, climate change affects the whole planet, but our foreign policy only affects a certain region of the world. It's like, oh my God. In their minds, like, the mind of many liberals is composed of this happy, like, I don't know, it's like this happy world where if in a public relations sense, if they feel morally superior, that's the only thing that counts. Not morality is not the issue. So if they understood that, yeah, these foreign policy debacles that Bush and President Obama presided over, from Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, all these interventions, all of these regime change ploys, all of the funding of rebels to promote regime change. So in addition to Libya, President Obama furthered and escalated all the horrendous atrocities that took place in those regions by funding rebels. And Trump stopped that, the covert funding of certain rebels. And you know how the Washington Post responded? This is what Putin wanted. Anyway, I'm voting against the Lincoln Project people, and also there are a lot of great things. I mean, President Trump signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. Again, this is not important to the left. It's not important. So like, you can bring a list of things that Trump did that were fantastic. Not only will they not listen to you or hear what you're saying, they don't care. They don't care. They care about the feeling, the perception of being morally superior, even though they're far from, not only, they're not superior from a moral vantage point, but they're in many ways immoral in the manner that they behave, especially in terms of politics. I mean, my God, you have these stories, now I won't get into it, but you have these stories now with children turning in their parents. My God. You never see Chelsea Clinton calling the FBI, calling Comey and saying, oh yeah, by the way, my mom has top secret intelligence on private servers. Just want to let you know. I mean, you never have that. You never have that. You never have Hollywood, like the kids of Hollywood celebrities or Hollywood directors or musicians saying, oh yeah, mom and dad, and there's a certain dealer here, and oh yeah, there's all this illegal activity going on. Quick, send SEAL Team 6. They never say that. You'll never get that. But see, now it's like, that's why I say, stay off of Twitter. Get off of Twitter. I have a Twitter impersonator that's breaking the law. Amazon knows who this person is because he tried to, he illegally shared my books on Amazon. But get off of Twitter. Don't listen to message boards. And, I mean, they're not going to be able to impeach. They're not going to be able to convict Trump because Trump couldn't even be convicted in a court of law. His speech is protected. And now they look even more like the buffoons they are by having good old Patrick Leahy there to do what? To actually highlight the fact that the whole thing is a partisan charade? Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. I'll be back very soon. Thank you.